need pictures. So like Diana was saying earlier, we did a lot of work and everything, and like this, we even asked a lot of people, like students and faculty and whatnot, to come into our buildings. And, like, we didn't really give them like a certain chair, like place where they can sit down, and, like kind of force them to be there. We kind of allow them to adjust it however they felt. We just kind of like, here's a chair, take it, put it where you want. But I thought that would get last. So like, what I thought was interesting about this was that the students preferred not to look at the studio, which was, I was like, why not? It's amazing. Look at it. And I remember asking E actually, and she's like, no, I don't want to look at that. I just understand, because like, you know, you spend so much time in here that you finally like, you just want to be outside and and actually enjoy everything that's around you. While like all the faculty and like the professors were like, what? No, we don't want to look that way. We want to look at the building. And it was just like, it was kind of weird how, like, depending on what you were and like what you were doing in here, it was just like what you would prefer to view. So yeah. Well, this was actually something that Victor had told me. Like, he's all like, I remember asking him, oh, what is like, how's life here? Like, what do you guys do and stuff? And he's like, he said, oh, how it's like we live architecture. And like, he's like, no, seriously, it's kind of like our motto. And I was like, which I think was really funny. And like, the thing about it was like, I really thought, like, my favorite day and like the most inspirational day I had was actually Monday, which I usually hate Mondays. But Monday was amazing because like we were so productive and everything. Like we woke up in the morning and it was just like, all right, brainstorm. What are we doing? And I was like, yes. Like I said, yeah. I was excited about doing it. And I was like, and then I thought back to what he had told us, and it's like, yeah, I feel like we're actually starting to live architecture. And like, well then we had we first started our 2D models and everything, and then we kind of set on 3 different locations, and then from there we started making so many decisions and everything, and then we had all the 3D models up, and like we had already sketched out a plan and how the size and everything, and like we did all that before lunch, which I thought was amazing. And we did our first real prototype before lunch as well, which I was like, man, we did this in like 2-3 hours. We're finally jumping on the train, because like every other day was kind of like, we're waking up so early, going to bed so late, and I felt like we were finally starting to get a rhythm, even though we weren't getting as much sleep. And it was like we just enjoyed doing it so much. We were like, all right, fine, let's get up, come on, let's do this. We love doing this, which is kind of like what they were talking about. And like, I feel like, yeah, we needed those moments where like, oh, let's take a break, but like it wasn't like take a break. Oh, let's go take a nap. It was like, let's do something more productive and like try to keep going forward with this, which I really enjoyed. So like after lunch, we started building our prototypes, and like our actual, like we started wondering like, okay, let's get the real size. We got the real size down. We got our location. And we're like, all right, let's start building the real thing. And we started building the base of it and like the deck of it, and like that honestly was like my favorite part. Like we're like, yes, after all this hard work and like thought, and like I was just like, we're finally starting to work on the actual thing, which Diana was saying earlier, like, yeah, we have architecture classes and everything, and like we don't really get to experience actually making our own stuff, which is why like I love this amazing opportunity that we've had to come here. So yeah, we started building, and like what I thought was hilarious was like it was pitch black outside, and we're like, man, we still have to work. So Mike came around, pulled in the car, and was like, all right, turned on his lights, and everybody's like, keep working. And I was like, everybody's like, yes, let's go. And I was like, I thought everybody would be like, no, man, let's go to sleep. I thought you brought the car around to go back home. So it was like I thought, like as soon as we got to this point, like, we were so in tune with one another, like what we were doing and actually building it. Like it got to a point where like we were all like just drilling and everything. I was like, all right, light, and Michael like, boom, light was right there, and ready. it was done. It was lighting where I had to go, and then I was like, all right, drill. Someone was like, drill was done. It was perfect. And I was like, all right, screw it in. And you screw it in. And I was just like, all right, another piece of wood. Let's go. Let's go. And it was working by so fast, and it was an amazing thing. And like I said, I forgot what I was supposed to say. Oh, and then the next day we actually didn't get to finish it because it was getting so late, and like Mike and Alex were like, no, we have to go back and we have to get some rest. So it wasn't on our part. We would have stayed longer. But yeah, and then we came back in the morning. Like we woke up earlier than we did before, and then we just got back up and did it again. We woke up, we're like, all right, we gotta go finish the deck. We just got ready and started the deck again, and we finished it, and then. I think Alex is next to actually talk about the rest of our final thoughts and whatnot, so I guess that's it.
So, I don't know whether you believe it or not, but when we were back over at the house, I was looking at all their faces, and there was a degree of jitters, pre-presentation jitters, that given what you had just heard, you wouldn't have imagined. This group has been probably one of the most remarkable groups that I've worked with here. You know, to a T, as a whole, they are like collectively one of the most eloquent groups. It was a really remarkable point yesterday about 2 o'clock in the afternoon when there was some design conflict, to say the least. And, you know, I think, again, let's go back to the fact these guys were working 16 and 18 hours a day and then probably not sleeping when they should. In fact, most of them, well, a couple of them were getting up and running with me every morning before we came over here. And so, you know, when you push yourself that hard for the first time, sometimes it's a little hard to know whether fatigue is just fatigue, or whether it's being upset, or whether it's being frustrated, or whatever. And usually, one of the wonderful things that happens here is a couple days in past years, we reach this point of conflict. And the always amazing thing is that a group will sit down and negotiate. And these guys, their predecessors, it's remarkable that they would sit down and spend hours relentlessly trying to reach consensus, to get to the point where they all really believed, agreed with one another, but really passionately believed in what they put forward and not just compromised. And we didn't hit that. Usually we hit that like day 3, day 2. We got to yesterday, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and it was like temper tantrum time in the subtlest of ways. I mean, it's really hard to imagine temper tantrums from these guys, but it's more like kind of furtive glances and lack of eye contact and you know, stuff like that. And it just came at that point. And I think one thing is that these guys are, that's such a testament to how much they care for and support one another. And I think, particularly in regards to this group, this has been especially exemplary, that it took that long to get there. But then I think after that we got through that point, I think one of the hardest things with this group has been actually they are so meticulous and so focused on detail. I actually think that's where the jitters came from. That they are so driven to be here and to be a part of this experience. That carries over into their architecture, and one of the hardest things they wrestled with was actually stepping back and seeing, you know, the tree in the woods, or actually seeing the woods. And that's a really wonderful thing. I mean, you guys would want these 6 people doing your deck. Trust me. Trust me. It was magic a couple nights ago. So this time